All right, Ronan MMA, welcome to the UFC 288 picks and preview show. We are going to go over every single fight on the card, starting with the very first fight of the night and working our way up. I usually try to go through the earlier fights a little bit faster so I can spend more time on the main event. If you are new here, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Dude, we are creeping up on 500, which is halfway to being able to apply for monetization. Okay, so get here before it was cool, and also just help me out because once I reach monetization, I can spend a lot more time and effort on my content. So anyways, let's get right into it, dude. First fight of the night. And also, just to preface, if any of these fights have been canceled, as of this morning on Tapology, they were still all put together. The UFC's website is horrible at updating these things, as Bryce Mitchell was still fighting as on the card. So let's get right into it. So first fight, Daniel Santos versus Johnny Munoz. Okay, Daniel Santos is 1-1 in the UFC right now, or at least on the UFC's website. He's a slight betting favorite. He got to finish his last time out against John Castanda, and he lost his UFC debut against Julio Arce, who's actually pretty good. He's 28 years old, and if I'm not mistaken, last time out he missed weight by a pretty significant margin. I think he weighed in at 138.5, which is not a great look, but it is what it is. Hopefully he makes it this time. Johnny Munoz, the guy's had 4 fights in the UFC thus far, stretching back all the way to 2020. He, like Santos, lost in his debut and then got a finish in his second showing. He got finished by Tony Gravely and then got a decision the next time out. So he's a little on and off, if we're being honest. But also, if you go back and look at their older records, I mean, a lot of guys don't have the best if you go back and look at their opponents before the UFC, Johnny Munoz, there's a bit of a trend here, right? Like he fights a lot, or he had fought a lot of guys with losing records, and even guys that didn't have losing records. You know, he fought competition dudes were like 2-2, 2-1, 3-2, stuff like that. So the guy's got a lot of finishes before coming into the UFC, but against, one of his opponents was 7-11. 7-11. That is not a great record, obviously. I'm going to go with Santos. I just hope that he makes weight this time. But he is very good. He is good everywhere. He has a wide variety of different finishes, right? He can get it done on the feet. He can get it done on the ground. So I'm going to go with Daniel Santos to get the job done here. Probably by finish. Again, I just hope that he makes weight. Now the next fight is Joseph Holmes versus Claudio Ribeiro. Joseph Holmes, 27 years old, big, tall, long dude with an 8-3 record. The guys that he's lost to have not been like the top of the division, right? Like he's lost to a Jamie Pickett and a Jung Young Park. Plus he's only had 3 fights in the UFC, so me listing those 2 losses right there like tells you his record, right? He's 1-2, which is not great. I don't like when they got so many guys from the Contender Series. This seems to happen to, like, every once in a while you'll find a gem, like a Sean O'Malley or a Jamal Hill, or you know what I mean, guys like that. But man, sometimes as soon as they get into the UFC, things seem to go sideways. But I'm gonna be picking Ribeiro for this one. These are just UFC stats again, so keep in mind their website is not the greatest for this kind of stuff, but he hasn't been taken down yet, at least inside the UFC. Joseph Holmes, man, he only has a 37% takedown accuracy, so I don't see him. He likes to get things done by submission. I can't picture him being able to get him down and get a submission. Now, to be fair to him, he doesn't average like more than 1 takedown, maybe a little bit more than 1 takedown, but not 2, right? So we're still in the in-between, which means usually if he's getting a submission, it's off of a single takedown. I just think that he's going to have to walk through too much shit from Claudio Ribeiro to get that takedown. And I'm going to go with Ribeiro to get a KO here early on too, because I have a feeling Joseph Holmes is going to be shooting pretty much off rip. Next fight, Rafael ESTEVAM, I don't know, versus Zhalgas ZHUMAGULOV or something like that, right? Yep, ZHUMAGULOV. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Okay, ESTEVAM, undefeated guy, gets it done in all ways, almost split perfectly across like the ways of winning, right? He's got 4 KOs, 3 subs, and 4 decision victories. This is his UFC debut. And he hasn't fought since his Contender Series fight, where he got a TKO against a guy with a pretty impressive record, which is not typical for that show. Okay, the guy was 17-3-1. ZHUMAGULOV, very weird dude. Looks 50, but also 5 years old at the same time. He's like a regular-sized Hasbulla. Okay, it's quite strange. He's lost 5 of his last 6, man. He's 34 years old, which isn't like crazy old, but we're getting there. And especially once you see that kind of like, you know, those kind of losses popping up, it's not really a good look. Now, to be fair to him, he's not losing to the worst guys, right? Like Charles Johnson, that one might not be aging that great as of late, but Charles Johnson's no slouch, and it was a split decision. He lost to Paiva, who is on a 2-fight losing streak currently, and I don't think he's fought since that fight. So since his last loss, I can't remember the last time Paiva fought. It might have been 2 years ago, but either way, he also lost a split decision to Jeff Molina, which is not aging well, but for other reasons now. And then he got finished by Manel Kape, which is fine, dude. Manel Kape is a fucking savage. I think I'm gonna go with the young dude, young, hungry, undefeated, savage. It's unfortunate, man, because there were times when ZHUMAGULOV looked like he could be something, especially if you look at the guys that he trains with and who he participates in cornering and things like that. Like, you thought that he might have been something, but I don't know. I think he'll probably retire sooner rather than later also. If you lose 6 of 7, I mean, I don't know if the UFC is going to keep you around. That's not a great look. And he had a very good record before coming into the UFC, so it just shows you that the level of competition definitely changes. Next fight, Phil Hawes versus Ikram ALISKEROV. Okay, more Contender Series guys, dude. Okay, I hate picking these fights. Now, that Ikram dude, ALISKEROV, or whatever the fuck, however I say it, my bad, dude. His last loss was to Khamzat Chimaev, which means he's not fighting shit competition in these smaller organizations. Right now, he got KO'd, and I think it was in the first round too, in Brave. But he also finished. He's got to finish over Dennis Talulin, pardon me, and fought some other guys in there that have a little bit of a name, not just like fighting total nobodies, right? Phil Hawes has been able to prove he's not totally bottom of the barrel right yet. Like, he still beat Deron Winn pretty recently, about a year ago. He beat Kyle Dawkins in 2021. Like, he's not losing to the worst guys, but he's losing to the guys that are like in the top 15, right? So Roman Dolidze finished him. I think Chris Curtis finished him also. They're not bad losses. The fact that they were finished aren't great, though. Shows that he can be KO'd, or at the very least finish. Phil has only been subbed once in his career, and unfortunately for him, I think that we are going to see another one here. Ikram ALISKEROV definitely likes to get it done by submission. Yeah, I think Phil Hawes is also getting up there in age, and this dude's very good. Okay, and it's taken him a little bit longer to get here than like a Khamzat, but I think that that's a good thing. And Khamzat probably set him back, which probably in the long run might end up working out for him, because, you know, you don't want to rush shit. And we know who Khamzat Chimaev is, so it's not like you know what I mean? He didn't lose to a fucking bum, and since then he hasn't lost, so I'm going to go with Ikram ALISKEROV to get a submission over Phil Hawes. Next fight, Braxton Smith versus the real GOAT, dude. There's only 2 real GOATs in this sport, Artem Lobov and Parker Porter, okay? Parker Porter is the GOAT, okay? Choo-choo, motherfuckers. I really hope that we get a first-round KO here, in all seriousness, because if we don't, this will probably be the fucking worst, slowest heavyweight fight of all time. Braxton Smith, not nearly... Yeah, I wouldn't even consider him obese. He's got a lot, like, probably, by definition, in terms of his body weight, compared to his height, he probably is. He's got a ton of muscle mass on him, though. Parker Porter's, like, morbidly obese, okay. They don't look like... Neither of them look like they'll have much of a gas tank, though, is my point. So, hopefully, we get it done in the first round here. Braxton Smith lost his pro debut all the way back in 2014 to a name that we all know, Chase Sherman. So, not like a fucking nobody, right? And since then, he's, I think, on a 5-fight win streak with all first-round KOs. So the dude can fucking crack, okay? And Parker Porter, isn't known for having the best of chins, okay? And also, one of those KOs was a head kick, which I love seeing from big heavyweight guys, right? There's not a whole lot of UFC heavyweights that have the dexterity to actually, you know, not just throw a head kick. Like a Derek Lewis can pull a fucking switch kick out of his back pocket from time to time. He doesn't really ever land it. So it's not common. So that's nice to see. I think Braxton Smith will get the job done here. Okay. Parker Porter's a little too long in the tooth for me, right? Like he fought John Jones way back in the day when John Jones was like 3-0 or something like that. His chin's taken some hits, and dude's quite a bit younger. Ton of KO power, clearly, with a wide variety of attacks. So I'm going to go with the newcomer Braxton Smith making his UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken, to KO and dethrone Parker Porter from GOAT status. Okay, next fight. Marina Rodriguez versus the female Rosas Jr. This was who, if you watched my stream the other day, I was trying to figure out who Jandiroba looked like just in the male form, and this was who I was thinking of. It's Raul Rosas Jr. That's who I was thinking of. They are fucking siblings, okay? Rodriguez was finished by Amanda Lemos last time out, and since being in the UFC, she's only gotten one finish herself, but she is good. She's piecing chicks up, right? She just doesn't have the power, I guess, to hurt these chicks at this level. She got a lot of finishes in her earlier career, but since she's been in the UFC, she's only gotten one. And she's beaten good girls, right? Like she's beat Mackenzie Dern, she's beat Zhao Nan Yan, my bad, dude. Michelle Watterson, Tisha Torres. I'm getting like tongue issues here. I don't know what's going on. And aside from losing to Lemos, her only other loss was a split decision against Carla Esparza, who, worst champion in strawweight history, but that's okay, dude. She likes to just take girls down and lay on them and shit like that. So, and it was a split decision, so it's not like it was a total domination. I'm gonna have to pick Marina Rodriguez here because Vina Jandiroba, she does scare me a little bit. Like she looks very good sometimes, right? And she too has beaten some pretty good chicks. Like she's got a win over Angela Hill, whose record does not reflect her abilities, right? But she has lost to Amanda Hebos, whereas Rodriguez finished Amanda Hebos. She's lost to Mackenzie Dern. She lost to Carla Esparza also. I just think that Marina Rodriguez will be able to piece her up on the feet. And, yeah. But if it hits the mat, Jandiroba dude, dyslexic or something, could cause problems for Marina Rodriguez. So she's got to be careful there, obviously. But Marina Rodriguez, probably by unanimous decision, just piecing up Jandiroba on the feet. Okay, next fight. Chaos Williams versus Rolando Bedoya. This one's tricky too, dude. I don't think, like, Chaos Williams had quite a bit of hype behind him. I don't think overly, like, I don't think extremely highly of him. And I don't mean that to be degrading. I just don't think that he's going to be, like, something special. But he's got especially one win that's aged very, very well. Matthew Schemmelsberger has looked pretty fucking good lately. And I know he lost his last fight, but that was a controversial decision at best, okay? But then he'll lose to a guy like Randy Brown, which is just not great. Yeah. Rolando Bedoya, though, he's making his UFC debut. He's on an 11-fight win streak. Most of his wins are by decision, if I'm not mistaken. Overall, his opponents seem to have pretty good records. Although he did fight a guy that was 1-5 when he was 7-1, which is not... I just hate that shit. That just screams padded record to me. Do you know what I mean? But either way, dude, I'm going to go with Chaos Williams here. I might be missing the mark on like a fucking low-key, really good up-and-comer that just has been, you know, doing work outside the UFC, but... he's fought way better guys. He's beaten way better guys. Alex Morono's not bad. Schemmelsberger, Al Hassan, right? He lost a decision by Mikel Pereira, who's done pretty well for himself. And Randy Brown is not horrible. You know what I mean? So I think Chaos Williams is going to snap this kid's win streak with a KO. Next fight, dude. Fuck, I hate trying to pronounce this guy's name. Kennedy NZECHUKWU versus Devin Clark. The dude that's fighting Devin Clark, dude. I should, like, listen to people pronunciate these words, but NZECHUKWU? Either way, dude. Devin Clark has had a fucking rough go at it, man. That guy's taking a lot of damage. Finished twice, lost to Ion Cutelaba by decision. The guys he's beaten are not phenomenal, although he beat Da Ung Jung, who fucking flatlined NZECHUKWU. Fuck, dude. My bad. Either way, I think I'm going to go with Kennedy NZECHUKWU here by KO or TKO. Devin Clark's taken a lot of damage. He's not a young guy. I don't know. This next fight is very exciting, though. Next fight, Drew Dober versus Matt Frevola. Man, this is going to sound shitty because I really like Drew Dober. But to me, Drew Dober is like the UFC fighter version of a meme stock, right? The dude's a fucking absolute Giga Chad, for sure, right? One of the best jawlines in the fucking UFC, okay? Hair, like, all of it. And he games, which is cool too. I like gaming, so I like, you know what I mean? I like guys that game. But I feel like a lot of his value just comes from internet culture and the memes and shit like that, right? Like, he's a funny dude, or at the very least, the memes of him are funny. Obviously, results still speak for itself, right? Like, he's on a pretty good win streak here. Flatline Bobby Gree last time out. KO'd Terrence McKinney last time out. Or not last time out, but when they fought. He KO'd Alves as well, but I think that one, Hernandez was a war. Like, the guy kind of is able to pull shit out of the fire, but he's never, like, dominating somebody. You know what I mean? Like, Bobby Green was piecing him up pretty good, and then he slept him. Terrence McKinney hurt him real bad in the opening of their fight, and then he fucking slept him. Alves was round 3 KO, if I'm not mistaken, so it was, like, literally pulled out of the fire. Now, Matt Frevola has been finished by Terrence McKinney, but up until Drew Dober, he was, like, doing that to almost everybody, right? Like, the dude has a very weird style. I'm hearing some wild shit. I don't know what that was. Either way, dude. Yeah. Oh, fuck, that just totally threw me off. Okay, Matt Frevola is not horrible. Okay? That's the thing. He's lost Harman Sarukian, which is totally understandable. Luis Pena decision, the split decision, does not look great, but it was a split decision. He beat Jalen Turner. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good win. I know Jalen Turner doesn't have the best record and shit like that, but he's a very tricky guy to deal with at lightweight. And he went to a draw with Lando Venata. You know, I think that Matt, the steamroller Frevola, is definitely better than people are giving him credit for. The betting line doesn't really reflect how much of a chance he has. But that being said, dude, both these guys absorb and land a lot of strikes, almost more than they actually, like, usually when you look for striking, like, the numbers like that, you want a differential of more strikes landed per minute versus absorbed, obviously. Drew Dober, bro, something's up with my fucking mouth. Drew Dober, okay, absorbs 4.4, and he lands about 4.5 a minute. So he's like neck and neck. So he's basically a take one to give one, whereas Frevola actually lands a little less than he absorbs, 3.46 to 3.49, barely, but still. I just think that when they both have a differential like that are so take one to give one kind of, Drew Dober clearly has the power that I think is going to win the fight here by KO. I think Drew Dober is going to get him because they both just get hit too much, and Drew Dober's got a fucking Giga Chad chin, and he hits hard as fuck. This next one, man, I was honestly... Man, I'm still almost undecided. Maybe I'll talk myself through it, and then we'll get to the pick. I might be... Yeah. Fuck. I want to pick Kron Gracie here, but I don't like the fact that he's been off for 4 years. And we've seen time and time again that being a specialist in this day and age doesn't really work. I went and looked into, like... I had seen an interview with Hickson, which is his dad, right? Hickson Gracie, who had mentioned that he left his gym. So Kron Gracie left his dad's gym and moved to Montana. I had assumed that was to go seek out, like, a really good MMA gym, right? That was not the case. Or at least I don't think so. He opened his own jiu-jitsu school. Gi jiu-jitsu, like old school shit, right? I looked on their website to see if they had other, like trainers there for different disciplines and shit like that, and I couldn't tell. I don't think that they do. Because if I was him, realizing that I couldn't get Cub Swanson down long enough to actually implement what I want to and submit him, which is the only way I'm going to beat the vast majority of these guys is if I get them down to the ground and submit them, I would have been going to a wrestling coach. Because at this stage in your career, and the way that he's been using his muscles, like to do jiu-jitsu, I highly, highly doubt he will ever be like an elite striker. That might be like a little shitty to say, but it's just a harder discipline to pick up the older you are. But wrestling would be very useful to somebody who is as good on the mat as Colonel Gracie, obviously. Okay, so like I would pick if any of you guys know who Gordon Ryan is, right? Probably the best grappler of all time, no-gi. Hasn't lost in fucking God knows how long. I have no idea. And then if you know who Nicky Rodriguez is, who they're kind of rivals now, they used to train together. Nicky Rodriguez is like a purple belt. He doesn't have nearly the jiu-jitsu experience that a Gordon Ryan does. He's not nearly as technically sound as a Gordon Ryan. He's not like, in terms of skill, Gordon Ryan blows him out of the water, in my opinion, when it comes to strictly jiu-jitsu. If these two guys were to enter MMA, though, I would put all my fucking money on Nicky Rodriguez to do better than Gordon Ryan, because he can dictate where the fight goes, right? He has very good wrestling. He'll take you down. Like, they had to change the rules at ADCC to... They changed knee takedowns to guard pulls because Nicky Rodriguez was doing it to everybody so much, so they wanted to... I think they take away points, or I don't know. It's strange, but either way, dude. He absorbs over 8 strikes per minute, which is fucking horrible. And he lands 5. And it's not like he has ridiculous KO power. It's almost like take 2 to give 1. You know what I mean? The only problem is, man, Charles Jourdain is so fucking inconsistent. That's why I've been going back and forth so much. Because after saying all that, it seems pretty easy no-brainer who I'm going to pick. Charles Jourdain is so fucking inconsistent. He's basically like win 1, lose 1. Lose 2, win 2. Lose... Like, it's, you know what I mean? And in his last time, he did that Sparta kick or whatever, but that was like, buddy, it looked cool, but you had done almost nothing up until that point. You know what I mean? And he's submitted guys, and he's been submitted by guys that are not the jiu-jitsu, not on the same level of jiu-jitsu as a fucking Chrome Gracie. So I'm actually really, like, I'm still tossed up on this one. I'm going to go with Charles Jourdain, just because, man, the 4 years off is weird. The fact that he didn't go, maybe he is training at a gym and he's just not advertising it, but he's opened up his new school, which that's going to take up a lot of your time and energy. And, jiu-jitsu schools, wrestling is like a blind spot for the most part, because everybody's there with a common goal. You're all there to do jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? So there's like a consent factor. Like, yeah, we're both going to go on the mat and we're going to fucking roll. Whereas in a fight, one guy does not want to go to the mat and the other one does. So I'm going to go with Charles Jourdain here. Hopefully he's got high enough fight IQ to not throw like a fucking front kick to the body or something like that. But, because I have very, very little faith in my Canadian brothers and sisters. I have even less faith in my French Canadian brothers and sisters now. I'm just kidding, because George St. Pierre, obviously, but you know what I mean? So I'm going to go with Charles Jourdain by decision. Hopefully, dude. Don't fuck me, Charles, okay? Next fight. Movsar Evloev versus Diego Lopez. Dude, first of all, huge fucking credit to Diego Lopez. This is a tough fight to take on short notice, man. This is not one that most guys, I'm sure, would want to take. He competes in a lot of grappling tournaments, unfortunately. He loses more than he wins. Maybe Evloev has been training very specifically for Bryce Mitchell, and this is not going to... maybe Diego Lopez will come in short notice and surprise everybody, but I don't fucking think so, dude. Obviously, I have to pick Movsar Evloev. I was probably going to pick him against Bryce Mitchell. This guy's making his UFC debut to fight Evloev. I just hope that the UFC gives him a shot after this and doesn't totally fuck him, because he stepped up, saved this fight, kept it on the card, and I appreciate it. And it's a tough fight to take on short notice. So, yeah, Movsar Evloev probably by KO, man, or TKO. Next fight, Jessica Andrade versus... Xiaonan Yan. Either way, dude. I'm going to pick Andrade. I hope that she doesn't fuck up again. Erin Blanchfield's just good, man. Like, if you got a girl who's got technical abilities, strength, and shit like that, Jessica Andrade doesn't fare totally well against them because she's very not technical. She just throws like crazy looping hooks all the time. But it's hard to throw looping hooks when your arms are fucking this short. So, you know what I mean? Either way, dude. I just think that she's going to get it done with her. This is a girl that I can see her beating. And I don't think that Jan's going to have the abilities of an Erin Blanchfield, first of all, and also the discipline and like to stick to a game plan. Erin Blanchfield was just, I underestimated her like massively, and I don't really fault Jessica Andrade for getting fucked up by her because she was very good, and she was piecing Andrade up on the feet too. I just don't think that that's going to be the case with Jan, so I'm going to pick Jessica Andrade to get the job done here. Okay, got another one I'm going back and forth with, boys. Gilbert Burns versus Bilal Muhammad, or Bilal Muhammad versus Gilbert Burns. I don't know. Either way, I've been tossing, like, this one's a toss-up, man. I was talking about this on my stream the other day, how I thought that I might pick Bilal. I might change it up, because initially I'd picked Burns, like, when this fight was first announced. The problem for me is, man, like, I know that Gilbert Burns has been dropped with, like, some jabs and shit like that, you know what I mean? I just don't think that Bilal Muhammad has the fucking power of a Kamaru Usman or a Khamzat Chimaev or some guy like this. And in terms of striking, Gilbert Burns, in my opinion, is leagues above Bilal Muhammad. I know Bilal Muhammad isn't the worst striker in the world. He's slow. He's a little sloppy. I've made fun of his punches and said that it looks like Juliana Pena, right? Like, I'm obviously partially joking. He's not as bad as Juliana Pena, obviously. But, like, Gilbert Burns is way better than Damian Maia on the feet. He's way better than Sean Brady on the feet. And his grappling is way better than a Wonder Boy. And it's probably maybe not better than a Vicente Luque, but I think it's a little more diverse and overall. Gilbert Burns doesn't seem to mind playing guard, whereas Vicente Luque, he does have quite a few submissions. They're all Darces, right? Darce, arm triangle, Darce. Like, he really likes that kind of choke. He likes top pressure, shit like that. Gilbert Burns, Khamzat Chimaev did not want to play with him. And I know that people discredit Gilbert's MMA grappling because they haven't seen him get a whole lot of... When he first came into the UFC, he got a lot more submissions than he does now, absolutely. I think that's because a lot of people don't really give him a chance to play jiu-jitsu, dude. Like, Kamaru Usman hurt him, would not fucking go to the ground. Stayed standing over top of him, hitting him to the body, kicking his legs, shit like this. He did not want to engage in the grappling, which makes me think, because they were training partners once upon a time, that Kamaru Usman knew what would happen if he were to engage in some grappling with Gilbert Burns. Khamzat Chimaev almost immediately stood up, right? He had taken, that was clearly game plan A. He took down Gilbert Burns in their first round. He got up pretty shortly thereafter, and the takedown was not hard to get, and Gilbert Burns wasn't even really trying to get up. He was playing guard, and Khamzat wanted fucking nothing to do with it. So I don't think it's that his grappling is not as good as we give him credit for because it's in MMA and not jiu-jitsu, but I just think that nobody wants to play with him on the mat. And I don't blame them. Gilbert Burns beat Damian Maia and was rolling around on the ground with him perfectly fine. Bilal Muhammad's win over him was less impressive in my opinion. Gilbert Burns totally fucking dominated Neil Magny, who isn't like the best, but he's good, and he out-grappled. Maybe he didn't out-grapple, I can't remember. Never mind, either way. He's a good grappler, Neil Magny is, so doing that to him was pretty impressive. He doesn't like being on the bottom, but it was still impressive. Wonderboy Thompson, that's an example of a fight where Gilbert Burns didn't do a whole lot and was able to take Wonderboy down, but wasn't really able to do anything with it, and just kind of kept dragging him down or holding him down and shit like this. And I can understand how somebody would have criticisms of that and think that it's boring or whatever, but in that one I can kind of understand it, because with Wonderboy, it's like fucking paramount that he does not get back up to his feet. You know what I mean? For almost everybody in the division, nobody wants to be on the fucking feet with Wonderboy Thompson. So I can understand him not sacrificing position to go for a submission, because I wouldn't want to either. Because if you give Wonderboy an opening, he's going to try his best to get back up, and you never fucking know what's coming your way if he does. So I don't hold that one against him too much. I'm leaning Gilbert Burns. I think I'm going to pick Gilbert. I'm going to stick with my initial pick. Bilal Muhammad is very good. I fucking make fun of him quite a bit and whatever, but he's obviously good. Okay, he's on a good win streak. He's beaten some good guys. I just think that Gilbert Burns, he's got more ways to win, and I don't think that he needs a submission to pull this one off. I could see him hurting Bilal on the feet. I can't really see Bilal hurting him on the feet unless he's like dead tired, which I just don't think is going to happen in a 3-round fight. Gilbert Burns has been in phenomenal shape, right? This is his 3rd fight in 5 months. He doesn't seem to cut a whole lot of weight, right? He's a smaller welterweight, obviously. I'm picking Gilbert Burns, man. I don't think he's going to finish Bilal Muhammad, though. That's the problem. Fuck. Because I just said he has more ways to win, but I don't think he's going to finish him. I think that he's going to probably, if he does win, it's going to be a decision. I could see a world in which Bilal, though, grinds out a decision. But I'm going to pick Burns. I'm going to stick with that. I'm not going to flip-flop. We're sticking with Burns. Main event time, okay. Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo. All right. According to the UFC's website, I found this fucking crazy. Apparently Henry Cejudo is a slight favorite. That's nuts, man. I cannot... People really discount Aljo. And my pick's going to kind of seem like I'm doing that also, but I'm not trying to. And I'm going to give some reasons as to why I'm going to pick him here. Okay, so I'm picking Henry Cejudo. But I'm gonna just talk over some stuff and talk about it a little bit. So, despite how fucking sloppy Aljamain Sterling striking looks from time to time, it's bad, but it's not. It's effective. Okay, it's sloppy, but it's effective. He is almost double the differential we were talking about earlier when it came to Drew Dober and Matt Frevola, right? Like he'll land 6 for absorbing 3 per minute, which is a very good average. Like. It's actually phenomenal, especially considering he's fought guys like Petr Yan, Pedro Munoz, like all these dudes, right? It's usually just him, to be fair, though, poking at range, like front kicks, little leg kicks, jabs, shit like that, because he's so long. So he kind of just keeps guys at bay, like the Pedro Munoz fight, for instance. Like he was basically on his bike the whole time, just sticking a leg out every now and again, right? Henry Cejudo's takedown defense, which I don't know how many times somebody's actually tried to take him down in the UFC. I think I remember Mighty Mouse doing it a couple times, but is 93%. So I don't know how many that's based off of, right? Because if that's based off of like 11 or 12 takedowns or something, then it's like, okay. Or less than that, right? I don't know. However you would get 90. Either way, dude. It's impressive. Now, despite Aljamain collecting a whole lot of control time, even his stats would show that he's not like a huge submission guy. Because if you look at the amount of control time he averages for a fight versus the amount of submissions he has on his record, they're not balanced, okay? This is my problem with Aljamain. It's like an Usman or a Covington one. And obviously, I know he has submissions on his record. But think about, like, he had Petr Yan's back for what? Probably at least 12 minutes in that fight. He never even really came close to sinking in a choke. And it does remind me of an Usman or a Covington. Like, if these guys could fucking submit people, imagine. Because their control time is phenomenal. Their ability to get the fight, or to get the fight to the ground, is amazing. Their ability to control it and keep it there is phenomenal. But they don't fucking submit guys. And it's like, god damn, dude. Like, if you're that good at the first two aspects, don't you think you might invest a little bit of your time into honing in those skills? Like, obviously, I know Aljamain Sterling is very good at jiu-jitsu. I just don't think that he's not a finisher, man. I also don't think that he has the problems, or I don't think that he has the power to give him problems on the feet. And Aljamain Sterling, I don't think he has the power to give Henry Cejudo problems on the feet, man. Like a guy like Marlon Moraes, who, when Henry beat him, was the fucking boogeyman, dude. Right? Fighting for a title. Like, a vacant title. He was next in line anyways, even if TJ Dillashaw hadn't popped for EPO. Right? Nobody had fucking... Like, the Marlon Moraes that we saw leave to go to the PFL was not the same guy that Henry Cejudo fought. And for those first 7 minutes, Henry looked like he was in fucking trouble, man. Because Marlon Moraes hits hard as fuck. And of course, as we know, Marlon Moraes starched Aljamain Sterling too, which is another thing I'm going to get to, man. Aljo's got a huge reach advantage, obviously. So I could see a world in which he's poking with the leg kicks and keeping Cejudo at bay. But the thing is I could see Henry Cejudo grabbing a leg, running it back for a takedown, not to land a takedown, but to make Aljamain defend it so he can throw something off of it. Henry Cejudo is fucking smart, man. I know he's cringe as shit, but he's fucking smart. Okay. And I know Aljo always makes weight, obviously, but like, dude, I saw an interview with him yesterday, which was fucking Tuesday. Guy already looked a little sunken in, which is not great either. The guy he cuts a ton of fucking weight, man. He keeps his hands low and outward. Also, I noticed this in the first Petr Yan fight. Okay, his hands are low and out. So I just don't like that, because I don't think Henry Cejudo is going to be as easy to take down as a Petr Yan. Petr Yan's style is very, like, I mean, we saw it against Merab. He has like almost no way to address it, okay? He plots forward, he's flat-footed, and he needs to get close to you, not because he's short or because his reach is short, but because he likes to do the majority of his work, of his offense, is with his hands. So he's not kicking it at range, or he's not chilling at range, kicking you at range. I was going to say kicking it at range, kicking you, but that sounds fucked up. But either way, dude, he wants to get in close. He wants to fucking box with you. You know what I mean? Henry Cejudo is not that. He is not flat-footed. He is always bouncing. He throws a lot of leg kicks. And here's the thing, dude. A lot of fucking Aljamain's opponents, for whatever reason, throw leg kicks and body kicks. Nobody's blasting head kicks at him. Because for a guy who you know wants to take you down, why are you giving him a body kick? Corey Sandhagen taken down on a body kick. Petr Yan taken down on a body kick in the first fight. He did get back up, but still. He threw almost no head kicks. Leg kicks and body kicks. TJ Dillashaw throwing... How did he get taken down? He lifted his leg up as if he was about to throw a front kick. So he basically brought his knee to like his belly button and it was like a feint or a fake. Aljo just grabbed his foot and ran it back. You should not be giving a guy that option when you know he wants to fucking wrap his legs around your back and just control you for 5 minutes. Like, that's silly. Henry Cejudo throws a ton of head kicks, man. And he always follows it up with a combination. He doesn't just throw a head kick. He throws a head kick with a punch behind it or two punches behind it or whatever. And I think that Henry Cejudo has a very analytical mind, and I think that he's going to be well aware. All of these guys got taken down off body kicks. So I'm not going to throw a fucking body kick. And I'm not going to throw a leg kick to above the knee. I think if he's throwing a leg kick, it's going to be low calf. And then I think he's going to be throwing head kicks with combinations after it, because Aljamain Sterling will have to address that. He will have to defend that. He can't... It is very fucking hard to catch a head kick, okay? And it's not advised, because you will... If you miss, you get knocked out. So, you know, even this, man, TJ Dillashaw was able to get up multiple times in his fight with Aljamain Sterling with one fucking shoulder, okay? Henry Cejudo has phenomenal scrambling, very high takedown defense, right? His takedowns are phenomenal also. So while I don't see Henry Cejudo like taking Aljo down and controlling him, because I don't think he has the frame for it, right? Aljamain Sterling is like perfectly built for that, especially at that weight class. He's very long, big dude, right? So I could see him, like, it makes sense for him to control the back of an opponent. Henry Cejudo, I don't even know if he'd be able to fucking get hooks in on Aljamain Sterling. His legs are so short. You know, one thing I wish that fucking Henry Cejudo would drop that coach, man. I can't stand that guy. Eric Al-Bahassan, or whatever the fuck his name is. Okay, I get he was a good wrestler back in his day. That guy is fucking horrible. But Henry Cejudo said something very smart. Or I thought it was smart. Or at the very least insightful. He was talking about Aljamain Sterling, and he said to me, you know, I've got a really good game plan. Henry Cejudo goes, he doesn't really fight with a game plan. And he's true. It's true, man. He doesn't. Henry Cejudo said he's kind of a guy that throws shit at the wall and see what sticks. And that's exactly what he is, man. That's what he does. And I don't mean that to be degrading. It's fine to do that. Like Henry described him as a freestyle fighter, which is accurate. He throws shit at the wall and hopes something sticks. That's what he does, man. That's what he does. And I also don't think that the layoff is going to be a massive issue, dude. I know he's been training with Mighty Mouse and shit like this consistently, who's been active, right? They're probably sparring and shit like this. So, I don't know, man. He's got a very fucking short, thick neck. I don't see Aljo choking him when he doesn't choke many other guys. Yeah, fuck, man. This might just be me discrediting. I don't want to come off as like, I don't like Aljamain Sterling, but I'm not basing this pick off of me not liking him. This is me watching their fights back. Like, I can't imagine a world in which TJ Dillashaw gets back to his feet that many times with one shoulder. Okay, and Henry Cejudo can't. Like, I know it's annoying to say, but seriously, Olympic gold medalist. Like, the guy can fucking wrestle his ass off. And I think he's going to be too quick on the feet. I think he will have a very strict fucking game plan because that's the way Henry Cejudo fights. He finds one or two things and he goes, he's open there and he's open there. I'm going to work on that. Like the way he was kicking Dominic Cruz's legs. You know what I mean? Think whatever you want about that stoppage. Nobody had been doing that to Dom. And it's like, yeah, no shit, dude. Stop him from moving. And Henry's blasting that shit like fucking across both legs. And then, like, you know, just even the way that he came out and blitzed TJ Dillashaw. Probably thinking what a lot of us were, like, that guy looked like shit on the fucking scales. You know, if I can catch him early, he won't be expecting it. I'm not going to give him time to warm up, get into his little rhythm that he does where he starts fucking whatever. And Aljo just... It's hard to be impressed when he lost or was losing a fight and then got given the belt, right? Whether or not you think he was faking it, right? He was not winning that fight. And then he barely scrapes it back with a split decision loss, who John Anik, which is a friend of Ray Longo, said he lost that fight or thought he lost that fight, okay? It was a close fight. I thought he kind of edged it, but either way. And then he fights a one-armed TJ Dillashaw that it took, what, 2.5, more than that, rounds to finish, and he couldn't even get him with a choke. You know what I mean? A one-armed man, literally. So it's, you know, if he goes out there and he fucks up Henry Cejudo, I will probably not pick against him ever again unless maybe he fights Merab. But I just see Henry Cejudo getting this one done, man. He's so fucking, like, people do not give him the credit that he deserves. He is very intelligent when it comes to this shit. And I think he's going to get it done, man. And I don't even think that he needs to get a TKO. I'm picking him to win by TKO. But I've seen some, like, people saying, well, if he does win, it's going to have to be by finish. I don't think so, man. I think he could potentially edge rounds against Aljamain Sterling and get a decision. But either way, dude, Henry Cejudo, TKO, round 2 or 3. That's my pick. That's the end of this video. Like and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Apologize if this was fucking clunky, dude, because my mouth ain't working that well. And see you at the next video. Bye-bye.